Hello, welcome back to Battle Rap Resume. I'm your host, Tom Quee, as ever. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting this show. I really appreciate everyone out there who has been downloading, who has been listening to us on YouTube, who's been emailing in. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's crazy. This is our 4th episode, so we haven't been going for very long, but already the podcast has been downloaded in over 12 countries. Shout out to Australia, Algeria, Ukraine, Lithuania. It's crazy, really. Battle rap is obviously an international thing. It's a global phenomenon, and people seem to be embracing the podcast in that way. And I just want to say thank you so much for that. If you want to give back to the podcast in any way, if you feel like, you want to help Battle Rap Resume in any way, I'm not asking for any money. I guess the only thing that would really help is if you can give us a review on iTunes. I've recently learned that that's kind of the most important thing for getting into the new and noteworthy. Like, I don't know if anyone kind of goes on the podcast homepage on iTunes, but there's always what's called the new and noteworthy section, which is kind of like the sort of, not the chart, but more kind of the interesting things, the things that people are talking about, the things that are trending. Obviously, if you're on the front page of iTunes, it gets you a fuck ton of downloads as well. So yeah, the way the algorithm seems to work is based on reviews. So if you just find Battle Rap Resume on iTunes, give us stars, hopefully 5 or 4. You can give us 2 or 3 if you want, but like 4 or 5 would be great, and maybe even a little review as well, a little few lines of text or whatever. But that just helps to bump us up, in the view of some people as well. We also, if you just download the podcast, we also have a YouTube channel where I upload the episodes, and I've also started to upload a few videos of just stuff that I'm interested in, kind of miscellaneous stuff, mostly in Don't Flop, mostly in UK battle rap. Like, if anyone's listening, they're aware of Minnesota Luke, who kind of like does brilliant compilations of stuff in URL and Kind of Dark, and occasionally Don't Flop as well, and wider battle rap spheres. This guy kind of just points out all the interesting little tidbits you might have missed, and I kind of want to do that for Don't Flop. The first video that's up there at the moment is the early years of Krueger. That's 2008, 2010, which includes him battling Press, who we're going to get onto just briefly. But I'm going to try and do some more outlandish stuff as well, some more interesting stuff. Like, I've been watching a lot of early battles recently, and I've noticed a lot of kind of weird stuff that people might not know, because a lot of these videos have like 4,000 or 5,000 views, and they're not going to really get any more views because they're so deep in the channel that people aren't just going to go back and examine them, So I guess you could kind of consider me almost like a Middlesbrough Luke, but I'm not from Middlesbrough, and my name's not Luke, but it's just kind of a bad pun on Minnesota Luke, as it were, But anyway, I think we'll just get into today's guest, and I'm really happy to announce that whilst the past 3 guests that I've had, E. Farrell, Craft and Shocks, have been newcomers, in a wider sense of the word, been around for 2 or 3 years max between them. My guest today, Press, is someone that, Press, your first battle, I think, online is from 2004, is that right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely that is.
Yeah, which is the first one we'll get into, but you're facing someone who, I mean, in the future, when people look back and name the great British rappers, or the people who, not only the great British rappers, but the people who put out great albums as well, people who put out great pieces of work, people are going to talk about, obviously Mike Skinner, Jest, and Skinnyman is definitely going to be mentioned. I mean, Councillor State of Mind, I was listening to today, absolutely brilliant album, and you went up against Skinnyman. I mean, how old were you now? This was 2004, so was it like teenager still?
Yeah, I was. It was my first ever battle. I was 17.
Wow.
Basically, yeah, went there. Literally, I must have been at sixth form at the time.
This is on Jump Off, we should say. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, on Jump Off. I found out about Jump Off and thought we'd go up there, and then literally I went up and then said, okay, I'm going to sign up to this next week. I went the week after, signed up, was on stage, and they needed one more MC, and unfortunately for me, Skinnyman decided to step up from the crowd.
Yo, better than me, bruv, you're destined to lose. He thinks it's underground because he came here by tube.
Yeah,
and the rest is yeah.
Well, obviously you weren't Press then either. You were Pinky X, which was, I mean, that's a a lot of your opponents talk about that. Crafty brings it up as well, and we'll get into that later. But Pinky X, that's quite an unusual, quite a distinct battle name. Like, where did that come from?
That all right. Basically, I started via just rapping with Lens of Camouflage Children, and he was like, "All right, you need a name." And we used to take the piss out of the garage MCs of the time, like Skibber D and Shabba D and da. So we thought, okay, what would be the most outlandish, ridiculous sort of version of that? And Pinky X seemed to be the laugh-worthy one at the time. Essentially, that was how it come about.
Yeah, well, I think this is kind of more of a tidbit to start off with, because obviously, like, the jump-off battles, they're nowhere near as polished as the Don't Flop in terms of their production. They're just not as fun to watch, really, because it's normally one set camera angle from far back. But there's a lot of people there, and again, purely because Skinnyman's involved, it's really interesting, and yourself, and Pinky X, of course, but it's the Skinnyman as well. And it's quite a fun battle. You get quite a big reaction when you talk about destined to lose. You think he's underground because he came here on the tube. Was this all freestyle? I mean, this is kind of
no, that wasn't.
Yeah, I could tell that wasn't.
There was a couple of pre-meds there, but I think the majority was freestyle. I mean, it wasn't really. Yeah, at the time, it wasn't really. It wasn't really the fashion, so to speak, to pre-write bars. You didn't know who you were going against either. So
yeah, exactly.
Always had a couple of just sort of generic punchlines there, but 90% of it was freestyle.
And it's just weird as well that everyone has blackboards around their neck. For those who haven't seen the video, everyone's got like a little chalkboard with their name written on, which is quite nice actually. It's quite helpful for sort of pinning people, but it's just an unusual kind of jump off knack, isn't it? Really, it's quite weird.
No, in retrospect, that is strange. Come to think of it, but yeah, I guess it was just literally so people go, that's
who that is. Yeah. So we'll jump onto the first proper battle. Who I have to say, I'm really interested in going back through early years of Don't Flop and other leagues as well, and just seeing people who had one battle and never came back, and most of the time they'll be kind of deadhead stoners or just people who choked or whatever. They just don't want to do it anymore, But Dr. Freud.
It's been a couple years since I've been up and on this battle tip, but ever since I see your face, I had to take a stab at it.
Your first opponent, he's quite a unique guy, and it's almost, I'm not going to say he was great. I definitely didn't think he was bad, but you can see elements of like Shuffle T in him. You know what I mean? You can see elements of kind of
definitely,
people who would. People who are headlining events now, that's a dominant mode is to have that kind of almost fawning, slightly sycophantic thing here. And this is obviously at Blood in the Water, I think, as well. A great event. Tony Manlis is there. It's interesting that this battle was such an early battle, but talks of you as an old battler as well, coming back to the scene. And I mean, how did you link up with Don't Flop? I think you battled Archaic prior. Had you known what was the background here?
I knew via just the WRCs. I think it was the second WRCs that happened. The one that and Archaic entered. I was there for that day. I was just in the crowd watching them guys, and I knew him via online and whatnot before. We're in He used to actually be known as Scudsy.
Oh, really?
He used to be a beatboxer. So I knew of him from then anyway. I knew some other people from Norwich as well, weirdly. This is all via online. I remember he just, I saw that he was started doing his own battles, started uploading them and whatnot. And it's sort of, this was in the gap between where Jump Off had finished doing the WRCs and had sort of completely disappeared. And it was nothing in the UK for battling at the time. So I guess he sort of took it upon himself to fill that gap.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just via that. Doc Freud I used to speak to on a forum as well. It was on UK HHF forum. And we knew each other via that anyway. So I think that's why I remember him sort of making a thread on the forum like, yo, Press versus Doc Freud, that'd be good. Because we were sort of two of the only people actively who would post our music up for criticism and stuff like that. Literally, that was it. And and that was it.
Yeah, it's a great sort of historical relic when you go back and watch this thing, because the battle is 11 minutes long, but the first 3 minutes is literally getting the crowd to shut the fuck up. Like it's crazy. When you watch battles now, like say, I watched yourself in A, which is one of your most recent battles. It literally starts. It's big up Don't Flop, big up Twitter, introduce the MCs. 30 seconds are into the battle, but there's literally 3 minutes of him just getting people to shut the fuck up. He calls out Dr. Freud on his hair. The crowd are restless. He says everyone's been there for 2 hours. It's just, it plays testament really to that early. It's kind of great actually, the sort of ramshackle nature of Don't Flop in those early days. It was a bit more wild there, and this is a good battle. I mean, you get into it and you call him hip hop's Russell Brand, which is probably spot on really. He does have that kind of very kind of full on hair, that kind of that rakish quality to him as well. And someone like Dr. Freud, you have to do name flips on Freud, don't you really? I mean, it's a gift.
Yeah,
and you go in, dad fucking your mom, that was a Freudian slip, which is fantastic. And then you just end with your first verse ends with, "That's just me trying to make a fucking point out of this bitch." And Dr. Freud, I don't think he's bad, really. I mean, you say he did music. Was he more comfortable maybe on a track, or because I don't think he's necessarily terrible here.
No, I think he definitely was more comfortable on the track. His music was actually quite good. I liked some of his music.
And is he active now, or is he just kind of one of those anomalies?
No, he's not active now. No. I think after that he carried on making a bit more music. I think they did try to get him to come back and battle again because he definitely held some promise. And like you said, I guess sort of ahead of the time, I guess, in regards to that sort of shuffle-t, sarcastic type flex he had going on. He had that down quite well. But no. I think I've got him on my Instagram, actually. He's like a rich banker in London now.
Oh, no way. Well, happy ending. And he
exactly,
just kind of, like, there's a dominant theme with your opponents, it seems to be. They will call you, there's inevitably mention of kebab meat, like, or some sort of like appeal to the Turkish heritage or whatever, which you play on really well in the second round, actually. My heritage is Ottoman, but you look like an Ottoman, which is I love that. I think that's really good. It's just kind of the crowd here kind of, they're up for it as well. Like, don't flop. I mean, talk to me about Don't Flop in these early days. Obviously, it wasn't the juggernaut it was back then, but did it still have? I mean, they seem to have drawn quite a number of people there, at least.
I think this was their first international event. This was Blood in the Water 1. So the Saurus was actually supposed to be battling 3 different opponents that day. He was supposed to be battling Truth, Archaic, and Respect BA. But I can't remember. Something happened. He couldn't. I think they didn't let him in. Actually, I think he flew over and they didn't let him in for whatever reason. There was a lot of complications like that back in the day. I think a lot of MCs would come over from America and tell Border Control that they were coming to perform and whatnot, and that would lead into some sort of difficulty. So it was a big event, and I think a lot of people at the time, I know my friends included, had never been to a battle event. So I think it was sort of no one really knew how to compose themselves, as opposed to today, like you said, with the A battle, for example, it just starts, everybody's silent, everybody listens to whereas opposed to then, it was completely, it was a bit more ramshackle. You'd wait 3 hours between battles and stuff like that. But some of that stuff still goes on today.
No, honestly, it does. The first battle event I ever went to was in Manchester, a Blam event. That must have been like late 2011, maybe. It was headlined by O'Shea versus Pamphlet, and there was like Matter versus Verb T there, and a few other battles. Briggsy versus Nash. Some quite good battles there. But it started at 7, and we didn't get out until 2. It went on for ridiculous amounts of time. I remember being asleep on my feet, just waiting, because you're waiting like an hour between battles, and I was kind of confused. I was like, what is the hold up? I don't understand. Everyone's here, but whatever, that kind of thing happens. And Tony Madness is there as well, hosting it. I think he battled Coolez at this event as well, if memory serves well.
He did,
yeah. And this venue was used a little bit on later battles as well. I remember Verb T versus Krueger takes place here, and I think Censor battles Disaster. Where was this venue? Can you remember? I know that's a bit of a putting you on the spot there, but
this is Vibe Bar in Brick Lane.
Oh right, nice.
Which is unfortunately, it's I think as of last year it closed down.
Oh, it's a shame, man.
Due to the ever looming gentrification of London.
Yeah, totally.
But that's got also on that event. The same, literally, I think the battle after me and Freud was Tenshu's debut.
Oh yes, because he is a judge at the end of that clip. Actually, it's quite cool. It's funny actually, because they cut to that's one of the great things watching the early Don't Flop as well. They cut to the judges, and you're like, who the hell are these guys? Sometimes it's like ZT, and it's like, okay, he battled, but then sometimes it's just like random people that are like, I don't know, they're bigging up their MySpace, and you're like, well, I bet that doesn't even exist anymore. But the final 2 judges they cut to, because obviously you win this battle 5-0, it should be say, and rightly so, but it's not a body bag. I have kind of warmed to Freud in a weird way, but now that I know he's a rich banker, I'm kind of a little bit, a little bit more hesitant to put praise on this 1%er. But he's decent anyway. But yeah, the 4th judge they cut to is Lego, and the 5th judge they cut to is Tenshu, and Tenshu even then has a real authority in delivering for the camera. Like, you know what I mean? You feel that he has this great presence there, and Lego, weirdly, I can't quite remember what he says, but he says something. The camera comes to him before giving his verdict. He says something like, Craig David's the fucking shit, or something. Like, he just bigs up Craig David, which is, fair enough. Why not, I suppose.
Yeah.
But we go on to your next battle, which is one of the great things about Don't Flop, or battle rap in general, is in the early days there are only so many battlers, so you would have to make these matchups that maybe later on would be huge matchups. So, for instance, obviously next battle's against Krueger, and we'll get onto that. But thinking like O'Shea Krueger, for example, which I think took place in 2009. If that took place now, that could headline 8th birthday. You know what I mean? But back then, you just have to do what you have to do, kind of thing. And obviously, Krueger back then, even back then, he had quite the reputation, didn't he? He had quite a lot of heat.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is at 176 Gallery, and Krueger mentions that this is part of a documentary. I mean, do you remember what was going on here, or?
Yeah. I'd say it was like it was like a crazy art sort of thing was going on. I have no idea. Yeah. And we were part of the showcase, essentially. We were like a live art installation, basically meant to be part of this thing.
Right.
And it sort of went to plan, sort of didn't, because I don't think the people in attendance were sort of expecting what was about to happen.
No.
I didn't think they were, it was quite highbrow. It was, we were the only battle of the
Oh, right,
thing.
okay.
There was no other battles, there was no other hip-hop, there was no anything like that.
Oh, right. I mean, it's a good battle because I think what's great about Krueger is his style never gets old. He's always had the same style. It's always worked. He's brilliant at breaking people down. He has his slightly off-kilter observations that will always get a laugh. Like, they're kind of, that they are so him. You really feel this character behind the bars here. And
You ain't even rapping or spitting bars. You're turning this shit into a farce. Anyone can talk jokes for 3 minutes, Jimmy Carr. It isn't hard.
And what I like, though, is in your first round, you do something that was definitely guilty of doing earlier on, maybe less so now. You call out over-exaggerated laughs at his mates' jokes, which you definitely can hear in this battle, partly because maybe it's not fair because there aren't many people there, like you say, they're mostly artists, they're not engaging with this, so maybe he had to laugh to give it a bit of, give it a bit of atmosphere, as it were. But, you call him out and you hear going, oh, like that kind of a bit like, doesn't really quite know how to react to that. But this battle was quite soon after Dr. Freud. Then you kind of wanted to be back on Don't Flop. You're enjoying battling on the roster, or?
Yeah. I mean, this battle was actually supposed to happen before the battle with Doc Freud. I remember initially hit me up and was asking me to battle Krueger. And to be completely honest, I remember at the time thinking, Don't Flop looks a bit ramshackle. The jump off was sort of the leader at the time, and I sort of due to some unrequited, like unnecessary amount of ego, I was just like, I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, type thing like that.
You're like, I had a classic with Skinnyman on jump off, like
Yeah. I'd seen I knew Krueger as well prior as well. I'd seen Krueger at there was a record store called Deal Real just off Carnaby Street. And every Friday night they had open mics and whatnot. It was hosted by Doc Brown, Tony D, people like that would pass by, Poisonous Poets, and it was wicked. I remember seeing Krueger there and thinking he was good anyway. So we already, and he had loads of, prior to all his Lazy EP and stuff like that, he had loads of music videos online which were of a similar vein, all these sort of cut and paste, crazy imagery, crazy sort of horrorcore rap type stuff. And that was that pretty much, man. I think it was an okay battle. I spoke to him recently about it. We're both not too, that happy about it. But yeah, it went okay, I think. I remember specifically just being like overly happy that he had choked. Yeah. And sort of like thinking, yes, I've got this. And then stumbling myself.
And I think this is a really good battle. I mean, sometimes when you go back and you look at these earlier battles, they can't, just the quality isn't quite there, and maybe the enthusiasm's there, but it's just they don't quite stand up to, but I think this one really does. And what's great about sort of these nascent days of Don't Flop is just the bluntness of the bars. So you start your second with, that was a nice verse, but you still haven't had sex. Which is just just a nice kind of just, why not? There's no metaphor there, and you call out Krueger as well. You say, you're the reason I'm embarrassed to tell people that I battle rap, which I can understand. And you make reference to the thing we spoke about before, the Krueger O'Shea thing. You said you demanded this for promo because you didn't want to get robbed. I mean, was that a joke, or were you more wary of judging in battles, or?
I was just real conscious of it at the time, to be honest. I really cared about winning or losing. And I remember thinking, to be fair, Krueger is my first proper sort of test. And I didn't essentially want to lose. No. Which is stupid, looking back. Now I don't particularly care about those sort of things. Yeah, at the time I was like, no, there's no way I can lose to him. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, and I saw the battle with him and O'Shea, and I remember thinking, no, he didn't win that sort of type thing.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's
that was that.
that battle with O'Shea, by the way, brilliant battle, and it's quite an interesting battle actually because the third round there's no video, it's just audio and like a picture of O'Shea. There's like just a thumbnail of O'Shea like mid bar, and then you just hear his bars underneath. It's quite a weird experience, but I mean, there's still really good rounds. And you talk about him walking into a hall of mirrors, his face would look normal. And then like this common argument really between, I mean, Krueger is a rapper. I'm not going to say he's not, but you know, that common argument between rapping and then just delivering bars, and then you have that really nice kind of scattershot rhythm where you say you aren't rapping or spitting bars, you're turning your shit into a farce. Anyone can talk jokes for 3 minutes, Jimmy Carr. It isn't hard. You have this nice way of kind of like you do it against Crafty as well. Like, that isn't how you do it, dickhead. Like, you have this kind of this break above the rhythm where you just kind of almost turn to the audience and just kind of make them look like an idiot, and it's a really good way of doing it. Shout out this battle again, a weird kind of backdrop. Obviously you're in a gallery, but it doesn't even really look like a gallery. It's just kind of like a sort of warehouse. I appreciate there might have been art elsewhere, but the kind of angle they're shooting it from, and like, do you remember what cameras they were shooting on at this time? I'm just interested because they wouldn't have been on the kind of Canons that Bagnall has now. Was it like camcorders or?
I think it was just camcorders, to be honest, man. Yeah, I think specifically for that one. I think for the Blood in the Water and the actual Don't Flop events, they had something a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I think, if I recall correctly, for this particular one, I think they just got... I think maybe it was even somebody at the gallery who'd agreed to film it for them.
Yeah.
And then sent them the footage.
Oh, shit. It's just so weird, really. I mean, how that all came together, that it's just part of this art thing. But, I mean, whatever, you know, we got a really good battle out of it. And obviously, shout out Krueger. If you want to see more of Krueger's early bars, go on the Battle Rap Resume YouTube channel. I've got an early years thing. He was good enough to share that recently as well. So I think he himself said it was a little bit cringy to look back. But, you know, you grow. It's crazy to think how long ago this was, really. It's more than 5 years ago, more than half a decade ago these battles happened. I mean, it's mad. And we move on. It's crazy, really, looking back again, the amount of quality that you faced from the off. I mean, Skinnyman, Dr. Freud less so. I mean, I'll have to listen to his music, but obviously Krueger's a legend. And then you go into Verb T.
You always have been under par. Now you're getting overpowered. I have to hold in laughs. Each and every time he tries to fold his arms, I can't tell where his neck finishes or his shoulders start.
Who, I'm guessing back then as well, was... You know, I mean, obviously he is now, but he's battled more now. But at that time, he was coming off just being an artist into battling, if that's right.
Yeah, no, entirely, man. I remember he literally, Don't Flop had a huge announcement, and it was essentially that Verb T was going to be battling Krueger. And I remember that this was massive at the time. Because no sort of any actual established rappers had stepped into the ring at that time in the UK. Well, other than the battle with Skinnyman, not, but yeah, in a Don't Flop sort of written battle form, that hadn't sort of happened. So that was brilliant. I wasn't there for the Krueger and Verb T one, so I didn't really know what to expect. I remember even actually asking Krueger to send me his bars just to make sure I wouldn't say anything similar. I wouldn't use any similar punchlines. So yeah, when hit me up for that, I was instantly on it. I was like, 100%, I'll battle Verb T. And again, this one was part of a festival. I don't know why I got given all these weird battles. Yeah. So this again was like some weird sort of music / art festival that was held at I think it was at the Hoxton Pony actually at the time. Hoxton Pony.
Right.
Yeah, it was in a bar called that in Shoreditch. And yeah, it was you can't tell because of the crowd, because of the way the camera's sort of facing and whatnot and how it's filmed, but it was packed. It was literally it was really, really, really busy. And yeah, I enjoyed that battle as well.
Yeah, this is a great battle. It's really exciting to see you going up against Verb T, who kind of like, for all his kind of, you know, he's got a slightly monotone delivery and he's definitely prone to choke. The guy can write, like, you know, the guy has a great way of putting together bars. He's got some fantastic battles. Actually, like, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of his music, but I am a huge fan of not that I'm not a huge fan. I just haven't really listened to much, but I am a huge fan of Jest, and him and Jest did a track called Closer, which I urge everyone to listen to. It's a fucking brilliant song. And Verb T's, put together some really good music. He's got a nice kind of that chilled kind of, late night sofa chilling kind of vibe, deep reflection sort of thing. And again, it's great to watch these old battles and to see the little things that date it. Not just the quality of the video, but just kind of like little things that people do, or maybe what people are wearing. And in this case, it's who clearly has his iPhone, and rather than flipping a coin, uses the coin flip app, which is great to see. You don't see that anymore. You don't see that in battles. People just flip coins now, but back then that was kind of a big thing, And obviously everyone's got mics as well. It's funny you say how busy it is, because I did in my notes. You can hear a lot of people chatting. Like, it doesn't necessarily ride over the audio and sort of distract you too much from it, but you can hear that. And you start your first by again just kind of belittling Verb, basically saying, "Were you being ironic with this outfit, or just trying to make a statement?" And Verb is kind of wearing this slightly questionable shirt. We'll say that, but I like Verb in this, even though he chokes and he does read off his phone, which in my eyes is a bit of a no-no. But Verb kind of, your name, obviously you're going by PRESS1 by this time, since you've been in Don't Flop, not Pinky X. Verb says, your phone's automated, so if you want to talk to a cunt, press 1, which I quite like. And then you...
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yeah, I love that bar. Like, I think that's a really good bar. And then you kind of, quite wisely, use your own weaknesses and project that onto him. So you're talking about, my nose would look normal on that enormous face. Because Verb T does have quite a huge head, and he's quite a thin guy as well. Like, normally big-headed people are maybe kind of bigger, wider guys, but he's quite a thin guy, kind of like a ballpoint head. Shout out Verb T, by the way, kind of dissing him here, but he's a great battler. Check out his battle with Matter as well if you haven't watched much Verb T. That's a really good battle. You talk about he gets a headache, his damn neck breaks, and you'll put a stop to Verb quicker than a comma. Which is nice as well, and that gets a big reaction, I think, because when you're battling, is it a distraction for you if certain bars aren't landing, or are you more just in the zone, or, I mean, how is that?
I think it's a mixture of the both, to be honest. There's been some times where I've been so prepped that it really doesn't matter if the crowd reacts to a certain bar or not, and there's been other times which I've heard other MCs and battlers say that you're expecting a certain punch to get a certain reaction, and it doesn't, and that in itself can throw you off.
Yeah, totally.
For this particular battle, I remember just being completely shocked by Verb T's first round, thinking, "Oh shit,
yeah,
what have I got myself into here?" Like, where it just comes to mic projection and whatnot. His years of experience just sort of showed there. But fortunately for me, again, he choked in the second.
Yeah, and then
this crowd wasn't a Don't Flop crowd. I mean, I think in front of a Don't Flop crowd in a normal sort of environment, the battle could have been completely different, to be honest.
Yeah, this was a really good clash, and I mean, this is one of those clashes that they could almost put this on again, like a Training Days event, and I think it would go down really well. I think both of your styles just meld, and it makes for a really good thing. You call him out in the third, as you say, like, because he does choke pretty bad at the end of the second, and he just kind of can't get his bars back, and there's that kind of awkward atmosphere, and he's kind of looking at his shoes and trying to summon up something, but it's not coming through, and you call him out for reading the stuff off his phone in your third. You also say that your nose is bigger than his dick, which is great. That's another just kind of like...
That's fucking terrible, man. I wouldn't be saying that shit nowadays, I like to think.
No. That's the beauty of going back, though, man. I mean, you can appreciate kind of how far you've grown and stuff like that. But again, this is an interesting thing. I mean, what's great is my previous guests, all the videos have been HD, many angles, these are half an hour videos with judging and adverts and nice little graphics. But this is a very, very basic thing. But nonetheless, it doesn't diminish the impact. It's a really, really entertaining thing. And the next clash, which is kind of a sort of mini one that we'll kind of get onto, like it's not really too much to analyse it. I just wanted to kind of ask you about it, really, because it's a really interesting sort of bit of miscellaneous and Don't Flop things. This is the 3v3 thing at the NARS festival.
And I'm funny with the words. The best rap that he's seen is the mummy on his shirt. You're a dummy in reverse. No, this verse wasn't rehearsed. I spit ya.
I mean, how did that come about?
Just hit me up. They said they were going to this NAS festival thing, which was like an extreme. I think it's still going on, actually.
Oh, right.
It's like an extreme sports and music festival in the southwest somewhere.
Oh.
Somewhere in the southwest. I can't remember whereabouts. And yeah, literally we were told we had like a 30-minute slot, and there was a UK hip hop stage, and we were quite lucky, to be honest, man. I mean, I remember there was a lot of good people at the time performing. There was Verb T, the whole of High Focus, which had just started at the time.
Oh, wow.
And none of these people were really drawing crowds. And I remember the suggestion was that I went down with Prince Kong, Krueger, Adam the Rapper, and I can't remember some DK.
Well. And so I just should say as well. So it's 3v3 as you say, but one of the interesting things about the video is it kind of opens with you three, and it kind of looks like you're sort of battling in a tent, and it's kind of like, you know, Don't Flop have been at many festivals in their time, you know, and you can kind of appreciate it in that regard. But the camera pans out about halfway through, and there are so many people there. Like, I couldn't believe how big the crowd is. It goes on forever, and everyone's watching you as well. Like, that must have been quite stressful, especially when you're freestyling.
You know what? It was really just sort of, we were all mashed up, to be fair.
Yeah.
We were all very drunk, very waved. And I remember it was just literally, okay, what should we do? We was going to do one-on-one battles, but we thought, no, instead, let's do a 3-on-3 thing. It'll be a bit more easier to just keep it going. I think it was 4 bars each, and just literally pass the mic type thing. And like literally, I remember after about 10 minutes, like, or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we just looked, and there was a bit. We did draw a nice crowd. Actually,
huge.
Yeah, at the time, the battles weren't really that big, so I think a lot of people were sort of passing by.
Yeah.
And this was a extreme sports festival, so all these people were there for like rock music and stuff. Essentially.
Yeah.
So then they were kind of just, you know, taken aback by it.
Yeah, it's worth seeking out. It's one of those things where it's like 10 minutes long, and towards the end, people are saying bars that aren't really bars, and people are kind of running out of things to say and kind of like attacking people's hats and shirts and stuff like that. But regardless, it's a really, really fun watch, and I don't think it's got that many views, but for purely the amount of people there, I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, and what I took from that is how good Adam the Rapper was.
Yeah, he's great.
before that weekend, I had no idea. I saw his battles and whatnot. I'd seen him live before, and I thought he was okay. But just on a rap level, I was absolutely shocked. And obviously, he went on to do, you know, his battle with Tony. I consider one of Don't Flop's best battles, to be fair. It was just that's what I took from that, to be fair. And the same with whatnot. I was always knew them guys were competent at freestyling, but no, Adam really shot me that weekend.
No, he killed it, and shout out Adam the Rapper as well. That was really good. So the next clash I want to talk to is one that obviously you don't battle in, but it's kind of notorious, as it were, and gets mentioned. Do you want to talk to us about what goes down in the big Canon and Tenku battle?
Yeah, man. This sort of went on to be like, lead on to my sort of hiatus from Don't Flop for a while. But we just, I was going to the events quite a lot at the time. And we were just, I'd go with my friends, and these were a bunch of friends who weren't particularly battle enthusiasts. And to be fair, we'd have been stupid in the crowd, being a bit too loud, being a bit too raucous with it, a bit too drunk and whatnot. And I think some guys were telling them to shut up, be quiet. They didn't take lightly to it. I weren't even on the stage at this point. I was sort of more close to the battle. And then by the time that I'd sort of realised what had happened, they just it just turned into a huge fight with Rumcon, actually, which is Prince Kong and Gizmo's crew. So, I remember them just saying to me after, they didn't realise that they were surrounded by about 20 of them. And it was a huge fucking disruption, man, which isn't good. But because I remember I heard in your last one that Craft said I was in the fight.
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I wasn't. I was literally had nothing to do with that. To be honest. But obviously guilty by association.
We don't no slander on Battle Rap Resume. We want to make facts clear here, you know. And it's crazy as well because interestingly, I guess if that happened now, I think they would have just edited that out. But for some reason in the big Canon Tenku battle, you get to see like 30 seconds of the fight. Like they just show you it rather than just like cutting to black and then cutting back, which is kind of, testament to the early days, I suppose. But
I guess moment. Again, this is probably at a time where they were eager to get views in any sort of way, shape, or format. And this was a big international battle, like this was a brilliant battle.
Oh yeah.
So I guess it was just at a time where they thought, well, fuck it. And I think Tenku, it was Tenku. He had some bars about the fight, so I guess it gave that some sort of meaning as well. But no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
it was stupid, and I probably my friends are probably at fault. To be fair.
Yeah, Yeah, well, I mean, it's all in the past, as it were, and that was a great battle. It's definitely worth checking out, that big Canon Tenchu thing. But you say that led to your hiatus, so that was related to you not being seen on Don't Flop for another 5 years, essentially, or?
Pretty much, man. Like, my relationship was sort of drizzled out there, and I remember we had a few arguments over, I think, that and other little things. And then I got offered a battle to battle a tryout, and the tryout just happened to be Tony D. And then, for whatever reasons, I couldn't make it. So I remember literally the day before telling her I couldn't make it, and that didn't obviously bode well either.
You do mention that in the Crafty battle, don't you? That you were,
which was stupid on my behalf, considering now. But shit happens, and that was that, man. And to be honest, like I got rather disinterested in battling. I think it happens to a lot of battlers.
Yeah.
You go through a sort of phase of you battle a lot, and then it gets to a certain point, and you think, well, it can either go one way or not now. And at the time, I was really trying to focus on my music as well, which is, I know, another battle MC cliche statement.
Yes.
But
how many Don't Flop
was.
videos have started with like someone's EP?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
But that was it. That was just you wanting to kind of, just get away from it. I guess you had been battling so much, though. I think that's the important thing to take away. It wasn't like you'd just done a few Don't Flop battles. You've been on Jump Off. You've done some doubles battles. I think you battled KK as well. I think in Charlie Sloth's garage, that weird league.
Yeah. See, that was sort of I can't remember. I think that was a few years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah. That
was also another strange one. Yeah, that was literally, hi, do you want to battle in 3 days' time? And that was just, I don't even know why I agreed, to be honest. I didn't know who the guy was.
No.
But again, yeah,
you murdered that guy, by the way. Like, that guy, like KK, I just watched that the other day. He does not have any clue what's going on, and professional involved. It's pretty gruesome. Definitely check that out. It's a weird league, that is. It's just shot literally in a garage. And they don't make any bones about it not being in a garage. It's kind of part of the point. It's in a garage. I don't really know what that matters, but
that was strange.
Yeah. But
although, funnily enough, on the same day, come through and got beaten by Els.
Yes,
which was brilliant. Only because of, in the fashion that got no problem with her now.
No.
Her a lot. But only in the fashion that him and Archaic sort of bowled through at the end and were like, "We'll challenge anybody here to a 2-on-2 battle," and then unfortunately they lost.
Oh, well, yeah, you got to try, I suppose. So you come back. And this is really exciting because you come back against Crafty.
I go abroad and look fresh. My skin tans up. You go abroad and look dead. That's skin cancer.
And obviously Crafty, I've had him on the podcast. Absolutely brilliant episode. Check out our second episode. He gave a brilliant breakdown of all his battles, and just check out Crafty in general. The guy's a absolutely incredible writer. Like obviously I'm going to praise him because he's been on the pod, but the guy can seriously write, and I don't think he's almost not given as much credit. Like, I know he was newcomer of the year and stuff, but the stuff this guy's coming up with is fantastic. And did you reach out to to come back? Did reach out to you for Craft? I mean, how did this come about?
No, I reached out to her. I said, "Look, I want to battle again. I'm up for battling regularly. I want to battle regularly." And within a couple of weeks, we were supporting the Foreign Beggars actually last year, and he was at the show, and he come up and was like, "Right, in a month's time that we're doing a park event. If you're up for it." I said, "Yeah, whatever, man." Yep. And he hit me up with Crafty's name a few days later. I didn't know who Crafty was whatsoever.
No, well, I mean, he was very new at the time, yeah.
Yeah, he only had the battle out with Ambi.
Yeah,
his battle with Liv hadn't dropped yet.
Oh, wow, yeah, really early.
And I think to be fair, I think Crafty will admit it, that the battle with Liv sort of cemented his name a bit more.
Yeah, totally.
He had stuff, I think stuff sort of gelled for him that day. It went down a lot better. Yeah, man, and that was that, yeah. I saw him, I thought, right, this guy, I thought I was better than him. Before the battle, and I watched. I saw his battle with Ambi, like I said, and I thought, okay, he's good. He's beatable, but he's definitely dangerous. And he proved that on the day.
This was a fantastic battle. Obviously, we've kind of already got over it with Craft, but we'll go over your verses instead. But this is a brilliant battle. You can actually see myself in the back of the battle. I'm the guy wearing sunglasses just to the right of I actually tried out at that battle at that event as well. It was an awesome day as well, wasn't it? The weather was fantastic. Like just 4 battles. It was just a really good atmosphere.
Yeah, man. It was ridiculously hot.
Yeah, it was it was probably the hottest day I can remember in recent times. Like, it was just, the weather was so good. And,
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and there was some good battles that went down there as well. I think Danny Jack battled Jay Dillon off the top of my head, and there was a couple of other tryouts as well. Ambi battled JB and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a really good event. And you start your first with basically apologising, and you build up a lot of interesting intro, because you talk about Tony D, you talk about the fight at the event. You build up this sort of sense that you're returning, that this isn't just kind of like, you're not just a up and comer like Crafty. You have a lot more prestige coming behind you, and you break down Crafty's, which is a very valid point actually. And I definitely noticed that when I was looking into his battles, that he has punches, but the strength, certainly in his earlier stuff, lies in the building. And you say you're literally so dead, like you hit him with a combo and you kiss him at the end, which is spot on, really. Heavy parts in the setup, that how you do it, dickhead, which we touched on before. Begging out retirement, like I was sending for Gran. Now, I didn't quite get that bar. Was that like a retirement home grandma sort of thing, or?
Bro, no, don't look deep.
All right,
that's
okay.
That's
okay. Sorry,
that just wasn't a very good bar.
Fair enough. Look, sometimes that happens, man. That's Battle Rap Resume, we dig in and,
no, yeah, of course.
And one of my favourite, I distinctly remember watching this battle and being really impressed with both of you. And like Craft, I was just taken with the speed of this guy and just how much he's packing in, because I'd never seen him before. I'd sort of heard of him, but I'd never really seen any of his battles. And he ends his first with I'm killing off press, Charlie Hebdo. And then you go straight into a Charlie Hebdo flip, which is really impressive. You go, Charlie Hebdo, fuck you and your battle views, fuck around with press, leave you with more than a bad review, which is absolutely dope flip. I mean, that freestyle element, that's just always been in your repertoire, always been in your arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from an era where you sort of had to do that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I feel, with the Verb T battle, for example, that I did one flip in that, and it sort of won me the battle. From that sort of bit on, and I think sometimes the right flip can literally do that. And obviously you can have the adverse effect as well of making you forget the rest of the bars and whatnot, and it can completely throw you off and stuff like that. But if executed well, I think it can be good.
Yeah, and I think like your second is really, it's just really funny. Like, just the reaction's brilliant. Everyone's really digging it, and I mean, not to say that you weren't funny before, but it definitely seems to be a bit more comedy. I guess you just kind of, update into the game. Don't Flop was always a kind of jokey sort of league here, but you're just bringing that in. You mention the big Canon Tenku thing as well. You say, check the old footage. My boys give out fly clicks like they sponsored by Nike, which is dope. Ain't got pocket.
That's actually a reference to when my friend kicked Archaic in a jump off street battle.
Oh, I didn't realise your friend kicked Archaic.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Yeah. I've got a lot of bad friends.
Yeah.
A lot of fucked up friends. But that was a reference to that actually.
Oh, okay.
But, it still applies to the.
Yeah. No, I literally just assumed. But what? Your friend just started on Archaic in the battle, or what happened?
Essentially, man. Yeah. I wouldn't urge the listeners to go back and watch.
All right. Okay.
It's so cringeworthy, but at the same time, it is funny. Literally, Archaic sort of says something about my friend, and then my friend goes to try and kick him and is held back by Scars, the old jump off host.
Oh my god.
And,
okay. Well,
so that was just a reference to that. But I mean, the first verse was literally just sort of a little. I was trying to sort of reintroduce myself.
Yeah. Because
I think as a result, I maybe lost that round because I was wasting some bars essentially. But as opposed to Crafty, who just went in from the get go.
Yeah, I think Craft did say that actually in our, as you've no doubt heard, that where he says kind of after your first, he was a bit like, okay, I think I've got this, and then the second and third, you really sort of kick into gear, slide into a DM's like putting on new boots. It's just kind of like one of those bars. It's like, I mean. Your writing process then, like what is going on? You're given Crafty as an opponent. Are you just writing? Are you bringing out bars that you've had before? Are you writing the night before? Like, do you have like a process or?
No, I wish I did, Tom. To be fair, maybe this is where I'm going wrong. It's been completely different for a lot of the battles. For Crafty, for example, I was told quite in advance. I think we had a month and a half something like that. And I think it was literally, you know, okay, he hasn't got a lot of footage. He's got literally one song up on his SoundCloud. The guy is a poet. And then I guess you just go into the cliches. I try not to do that a lot, but then I guess you have to. And it's just the thing of, you know, the guy's ginger.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with some ginger jokes, you know. And in the same vein, I know I'm going to receive the same sort of terrorist and kebab shop jokes. So I don't really feel any way about saying the obvious stuff. And especially if it's done creatively. And yeah, that was that with that. I mean, a couple of the punches I did have already sort of there. And then it's just sort of about putting it all together.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest. I think for the craft one, I wrote my third, I think, the last half of my third, I did write sort of a couple of days before, which I then learned not to do again.
No, yeah, I think it's interesting because you do reference Dustin Brown, and I remember when you referenced him, I was like, oh, I know him from Wimbledon, like, which I'd just been watching, so I don't know if that was kind of a zeitgeisty kind of reference there, but yeah, you do talk about in the third Craft dreading his next opponent like Dustin Brown. You're one poem away from smoking dust in Brown, which is it's just fantastic. Like your Ottoman against Dr. Freud. I love those sort of bars where you're just pulling the syllables apart and seeing what's there and see what you can do with it. They're always really fun. Craft skin shade is panna cotta, which is like it's not only spot on, but it's kind of like panna cotta linguistically has that kind of just, it's a very distinct word to hear, and it just kind of like it comes there and you just nail it. But this is a really good battle. This is a majorly slept on battle. I think it's got like 12,000 views, and like it's really deserving of more. It's a brilliant back and forth. If you're a Crafty fan, this is where you can definitely see him coming into his element. And obviously, if you're a fan of yours, this is you resuming service as normal, really. But I would argue being better than ever. Like, I mean, were you happy after this performance, or?
I was initially I was really pissed off.
Oh, really?
What? Yeah, I was just like, I didn't deserve that loss.
Yeah.
And then on a look back, I was like, okay, I sat down and watched it and was like, no, completely went the right way. I agree with the judging as well. Like, Crafty did well, man.
Yeah.
I think if I didn't stumble I had a stumble in my third, which I had to cover up with some freestyle. I lost about 12 bars, I think I forgot to say.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I got them out, then maybe it could have gone another way. But as it did go, Crafty was completely deserving of the win, man. And looking back, yeah, I was quite happy with the performance. I think rap-wise, I spat the bars nice.
Yeah, totally.
Reaction-wise, it went off quite nicely. It was a good vibe, like you said. Yeah, you were there, man.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
It was a brilliant day, and just one of the very noticeable things in the battle. And does not say that Crafty isn't technically good as well, like he's got rhythm, but you definitely have that precise rhythmic delivery that's just really fun to listen to. Like, I don't want to, again, we speak about rappers having EPs, and I don't want to speak in more don't flop cliches, but you do have that throwback boom bap kind of, you know, that really enjoyable rap delivery that is such a far cry from your Dr. Freud's or your Shuffle T's, you know, that really engaging kind of quite turbulent motion. When you're constructing bars, I guess it's subconscious for you, isn't it, when you're just kind of thinking about the patterns that you're going to do and the way you're going to deliver it, or is it the bar that comes first, or, I mean, are you even thinking about that, or?
No, definitely, man. I try to structure it like, I mean, not on beat. I don't ever write these a cappella battles to beats per se, but I will definitely be conscious of the fact that, right, it's, you know, I'm a rapper first and foremost. Battling is just part of what I do, and it's a thing of, it's letting people know that I'm not just here to say multis, essentially. And it's I think delivery and sort of how you say it and the structure, the rhyme structure, is definitely important. And I do work on that.
And
I try to.
Yeah, no, you have, man, you have. And in terms of the like before the battle, are you showing your bars to anyone? Are you going for any kind of assistance or guidance? I'm not necessarily saying that people are writing them, but I mean, I think even and Krueger have said in interviews that they would show bars to a few people just to make sure what they think. Or are you kind of like, these are mine, I just want it, you know, I want it to have full credit?
There's a couple of I've got a couple of friends who I'll sort of spit the bars to, spit the verses to, but this will literally maybe be on the day of the battle or a couple of days prior. Other than that, throughout the sort of writing process and whatnot, I might show a friend, yo, this is the next guy I'm battling, and see if there's any observations that they pick up on that I completely haven't seen, you know, and which are sometimes really obvious and sometimes quite, okay, that's a bit too deep. No, but nobody will get that type thing. No, yeah. I mean, I guess it is just me most of the way, to be honest, man. I yeah, I think I know what is tried and tested now. I think I know what works and what sort of doesn't.
Yeah, well, it was basically a success. Your return to Don't Flop, and you were pretty quick back into the mix, weren't you? I can't quite remember when this Rapping It Park was. I think it was like June, maybe. But you were also on the Sunburn pre-party, bringing Lens in. And Lens, you mentioned you've known since, you were saying, like the Pinky X days. So Lens is like one of your old boys then.
Yeah.
Obviously, you and Lens are camouflage children as well. And then the doubles battle, is that something you're going to do more of? Because obviously you battled Sleepy G and Danny Jack. You headlined the pre-party, but is that something you're going to look for more, or is it more solo battles in the future?
No, more solo battles, man. I'm not going to do that. I found that really hard, to be fair. I found that was completely like different. Not performance wise. Performance wise, I actually found it easier because you've got somebody else to sort of. It sounds weird to like cue on the bars for you. Yes, if that makes sense. You know when he says that, you've got to then say this thing like that. But in regards to the writing process, I found I prefer to be alone with that.
No, I mean, again,
Definitely.
We're not really going to dig too much into that battle because I don't think it's a very good battle, really. I mean, not to throw any shade on you or anything, but not you in particular. But it's just not that. I don't know. I didn't really engage with it much. Big up Sleepy G mouth in the bars as well. That's quite an unusual thing. But we'll jump into the next one. So you go from that to going into someone who obviously I tried out at that Rapid Park, and of all the tryouts that were there, Yorks was there, Immoral was there. I'm trying to think of some other people. Disfigure was there. The guy that stood out for me was A. I thought A gave a fantastic performance at the tryout at the Rapid Park. The guy has authority, the guy has delivery, has a good persona. He maybe some of his bars are a little bit cheesy sometimes, but it doesn't really matter because there's a knowing wink, and he gets you on board. And A, who was just really on the rise, battled yourself, battled Pedro, J Red, he's doing really well for himself, which is really good to see. So you battle then at the Right Club event.
Having that snitch in your face ain't no reason to gloat. I bet it uneases your soul and fucks with the feng shui with your nose.
Were
you asked to battle A? Did you want to battle A? How did this come together?
I was asked to battle A. That's again. He was adamant it would be a good battle. I didn't particularly want to, man. I think at the time, again, he'd only had the tryout battle that was online. So I was like, I can't battle this guy. It's just a letter. What do I say to this letter?
It's just a vowel.
Yeah. It's like, what do I even say? And people was asking, who are you battling? I was like, I'm battling A. They were like, no, dude, what? It's just like, this is a bit, Which I think
he's literally impossible to Google. Like, if you Google A battle rapper, you're not going to find A. Like, you just, you find anything.
Tell me about it, man. Like, I tried.
Yeah.
There was nothing to go by. So I was a bit like, it's another guy like that. This is quite irritating. But I think that sort of forces you to be a bit more creative with your writing as well. To be fair, I think you have to then sort of show your ability. And I think this was a sort of. I mean, I never realised that I did have such a sort of throwback style until I did return to Don't Flop. A lot of the comments were saying that, and I think this sort of is a real showcase of that throwback style against somebody with a completely 2016 word association type. Yeah. That's what A's got going down.
Totally. It's just kind of.
And I think comments-wise, unanimously people were saying that A won. I don't know, man. I'm still quite struggling to see how. Well, I understand there was the thing at the end, which sort of makes it hard to overlook.
Yes.
But But other than that, I think it went quite well.
No, it's
on my behalf.
Yeah, it did. I think the comments are oddly harsh. I don't really know why. But it's just kind of like with A, and I think with myself or any other tryout recently, like we're getting into battle rap because we like battle rap. We come up on battle rap. That's kind of what we're going for. Is yourself obviously just coming up on hip hop, and then that's transferring into battle rap, and that just gives it a whole different flavor. But this is a fun battle. It's funny you were saying like he hasn't got many battles. What do you talk about? Obviously, you talk about the mole on his face. So you dedicate pretty much your whole round, your first round to that. Talk about obviously A's got quite a prominent mole on his face. You go into the Austin Powers' worst nightmare is right there. It fucks. I love the fucks with the feng shui on your face. It's just kind of quite an abstract image. It's just really kind of like, I really like that. And a nice bar as well. That's a little bit slept on, but then people catch up. Got that mole on his boat like Noah's Ark. Which is nice as well. Purely because like it made me laugh, both because it's a funny bar, but also because like when you think of Noah's Ark, you don't think of moles being on. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like of a nice little. And you call out his new status. I mean, he goes sort of obvious as well, even though you do have a lot more out there. He's still going kind of down the well-worn paths. You look like a terrorist bar is something you got to deal with, you know. And talks about you returning to battling for views, which obviously wasn't the case, but you were just coming back into the fold because you're enjoying it and, you know, doing really well with it. I think the second is a lot stronger. You flip the terrorist, which, I mean, because it's a flip, you can kind of give credence, like, even though I have heard Chiller say, like, you know, everything I write's a bomb, I'm about to terrorist, but there's so many terrorists, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many flips in here and stuff like that, and you talk about the difficulty of finding A online, which is obviously impossible, fucking up light work like power cuts, which is really nice as well, and nice reference that caught me off guard as well. A is just a letter. I'm going postal Terry Pratchett. Are you a Terry Pratchett fan, or was that just kind of what worked? Or
no, yeah, I used to be, man.
Oh no, I just that was a dope reference. Like that was just a really obscure reference. Like I really like that.
Yeah, no, a couple people said that to me.
Yeah, it was nice. And then like
it's
if you're not going to talk about A's mole, then what you can do is you can just do name flips to death. Because, you know what I mean? Like, it's an absolute gift. You know, asymmetry is off. No A&R thinks A is hard. It's just lots and lots of good ones there. And then, like, a bar at the end, which I thought was pretty dope, actually, which kind of... Sometimes, if you end your rounds on a strong bar, it can be a dangerous thing. You can either get an explosion, and then it'll kind of ruin the momentum of the next round of your opponent, or it can kind of almost just peter out because it's the end of the round, and people can tell in your voice that you're winding up. So, you talk about bringing labour to the party. I got a bit more left as we're going into the third. But the weird thing in your third, which we're going to get onto, is the Lex thing. Which, I mean, I stated at the start of the episode that, you know, Middlesbrough Luke, I'm going to start making more sort of don't flop miscellaneous things, and I think I will include this moment purely not any Schadenfreude and not taking any delight in it, just because it's such an odd moment. Like, you know, the top comment on this battle with 68 upvotes is, I don't think I've ever seen someone choke in a battle they weren't even involved in. So basically, Lex, you call out Lex, who had a tryout as well, I should say, at the event. Lex, who has gone on to have some really good battles, actually. Battled Yorks, which is a good battle, and then battled Ambi, which is a really, really good clash. And he comes on. And what was that about? Why were you bringing Lex into the battle?
Okay, so basically, when the battle got confirmed, I knew I was battling him. I got hit up by Lex, and he was like, yo, this guy, he really keeps sort of... Apparently, I don't know, A was doing something, like kept... like sort of confronting Lex, I think in the battle with Ambi, he sort of steps in and does a thing of saying, you know, keep your name out of my mouth, something like that. So basically, Lex wanted to just sort of reply to that.
Okay.
So I said, okay, cool, bro. So I wrote sort of a last minute sort of 8 bars that sort of introduced Lex. Sort of said I don't like bullies or whatnot, something like that. So that sort of nature. And then unfortunately for me, Lex fucked it up royally. And then essentially just choked. And he literally had 8 bars or 6 bars, something like that to say. And that was just there to finish my round. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just,
I remember just trying my hardest to just think of some sort of flip or some way I could be like, see, I don't even need someone else to spit for me or something like that. I remember trying my hardest and it just wasn't coming to me. And I was like, oh no, I've got a whole other round of A here. And just because of my personality as well, like, I mean, not to take away from A, I think, you know, a lot of my bars were slept on in this battle.
They were.
But in the same vein, if A had done this and that had happened, I would have been such more of a cunt, to be fair. I would have completely reined in on it.
Yeah,
I was also a bit disappointed that he didn't even really I would have freestyled about that for like 6 or 8 bars. You could have even just spoken about it, because it was so awkward.
Yeah,
you know?
it was. It's an amazing moment. I mean, for anyone who hasn't watched PRESS1 versus A, just check out that weird Lex moment. It's crazy. I remember following the updates on Twitter or whatever, and people were talking about it. I was just like, what the hell went down? Like, people were like, I've never seen anything like this before. It was mad. And as if to enshrine this moment even further, the great Ogmios. For some reason, I was just looking at his Twitter the other day, and I noticed that his most recent tweet, which was 2 months ago, is about that Lex moment. And he basically says the sublime irony of stepping out from the crowd to choke on, and what Lex says is, he says, to choke on, this ain't no spectator sport. ... Beautiful. And it's so ironic, like it's kind of almost chokingly ironic that it happened. But I mean, big up.
It's like when people talk about choking and then choke. It's that same thing, isn't it?
Exactly. But
ridiculous.
No, big up Lex anyway. I mean, he came back for that, and it's a very weird moment. But yeah, this is a good battle, and it's kind of one of those things where there's just unnecessary kind of negativity in the comments, not necessarily towards you, but maybe positivity towards A, and by proxy of that. But like, I think this is a lot more even than people give it handle for, really. And as you were saying before, I wasn't aware that you maybe didn't want to take this battle, and you don't really get that vibe. But it's not like the Craft battle, it doesn't quite have that back and forth to it. But it's a fun watch. I mean, was this the first battle of the day, or?
No, man. No. This was the battle just before Soul and Purpose.
Oh wow, okay.
So that day they had there was a few a cappella battles, and then I can't remember who was on before me. And then after Soul and Purpose, they went into the grime battles. There was grime clashes that day as well. I think it was Villain versus Zen and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a weird vibe. I think there was a big break, and then we went into the battle. But yeah, and going back to the YouTube comments, man, they were harsh, but I don't know. Essentially, as well, I think YouTube comments can be very harsh, but I think, unfortunately, 75% of the time they're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, these are faceless. Sometimes trolls. Otherwise, these are just faceless people. Why are they going to lie? And I always see battle MCs talking about that. Like, the real people knew I know, but the internet are saying that I lost and whatnot. And it's like, well, then you have to take from that and go, well, maybe you did lose then, man.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear you say that, because I completely agree. I'm like,
Yeah. It contradicts what I said earlier.
Yeah.
But I stand by that, man. I think it is the truth, I think, essentially, okay, technically, maybe on the bar-wise level, I do think I took it. But overall, I think you have to look at the overall thing at the end of the day, and, what happened can't be overlooked.
yeah, and exactly. It's like just that it's that weird battle of logic that people, so, the real people on Facebook that I'm friends with, but the people who have no attachment to it. It's like, surely the people who have no emotional attachment to you are going to be honest. Like, exactly. They're not like. Exactly. So sometimes there are comments where it's kind of like, okay, now you're just being a bit harsh. You don't need to deliver it in that way. But most of the time, people are just kind of like getting out there, and I think like. That's people are always like, oh, fuck battle rap comments, but I fucking love battle rap comments, like good or bad. I think they're so interesting to read. It is so interesting to see people's responses to things and stuff like that. And I think the Don't Flop, as with any other league, has a great comment section, and people dig into that. But now we're getting on to your the final battle, your fourth battle for Don't Flop in like, so you battled Craft in like we'll say the summer of 2015. And then Beat Fighter was February 2016?
I think it was this month. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Bloody hell, yeah. Seems longer, but it wasn't, yeah. Which is obviously, a lot of, I mean, this is your trajectory then. You're looking for 2016 to do more and more battles. You are in this, you aren't just sort of, a Tenku or a Luna. I do put you on those pedestals, by the way. But, you know what I mean? You're not just returning for a one shot. You are here just because you like battling and you just want to be on it more.
No, that's it, man, definitely. I mean, I've come to the stage now where I feel I can comfortably make music at the same time as writing for a battle. So I think that was always my problem beforehand. And in the same breath, I'm not considered, like, thank you for saying that, Tom, but I'm not the same as a Luna or a Tenku. And I think, my aim is maybe not to get as high as them. I don't particularly care. But only in the respect of, I know for myself, I haven't tried hard enough yet. And I haven't, if I was to stop battling, people could be like, yeah, well, you had a good shot at it, man. You had some good battles. But at the same time, I know there's a lot left in me. And it's I'm going into 12 years or 11 years now.
Yeah.
Doing it. It's addictive, man. I do love battling.
Yeah, of
essentially
course.
that is it. Like, as much as I've strayed from it, I haven't watched it for a couple of years here and there and whatnot. I've always come back to it, and yeah, I do really enjoy going to the events, and I do like seeing the new battles and whatnot. And I think it's evolved to such a place now that for me as an artist, it would be stupid not to do it.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, just before we get onto Jay Madden, it must be crazy for someone who has literally been here since 2004 to see where battling is now. Like, it's astronomical that how big this thing's gotten. It's ridiculous,
bro. Like, I would have dreamed for some of the outlets that they have now.
Yeah.
In regards to it back then, there was it was such a niche crowd. It was so, like I said, everybody going to the battles was, probably their first battle they'd ever seen and whatnot. Nobody really knew how to react. Nobody was really doing it for views either, because the most that a battle would get, if a battle went over 1,000, we were happy. And it was just like, it was the way that it has grown is amazing. And I think, my time out, I definitely saw that. And it sort of gave me the buzz to get back involved. Not to sort of latch onto it, just from a genuine sort of, a genuine love for it.
Yeah.
Definitely for the art of battling.
Well, that comes across because not only are you a good writer, but obviously on beat, you've got a lot of skill on beat. And I guess when the Beat Fighter event came along, you must have been really eager to get on board with this, because that's kind of your natural habitat.
Take you kipping in a grey news knitted from the skirt you wear. Fuck off, all flow, no punches, I've got them gloves off. Cancer to the scene, you get cut off. Screw loose, yes, I'm a nut job.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. That's how sort of the battles I done started. That's how the battles I was watching the likes of Professor Green and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what I used to see. I used to love that stuff. And just the way that on beat, like one single bar can completely sort of change the outlook of things. It's completely different to an a cappella battle, and I treated it differently as well. I understand that it's completely different. So yeah, when that event come up, Briggsy hit me up. He threw me a few names. To be fair, I didn't know any of them.
Yeah.
He suggested Jay Madden, and I was like, And weirdly enough, I knew Jay Madden from years and years and years ago.
Oh, right.
He used to put out quite a lot of music as well. I didn't even know he'd battled Shotty Horror.
Yeah, that's how I knew him. Yeah, he's kind of, I think he was Shotty's tryout or something, or that was his first battle. Yeah. Ages and ages ago. This is a really good battle. I mean, Madden, he's got kind of a slightly weird attitude. Obviously, this battle's not going to come out for a while. Probably when people listen to this episode, it probably might still be out. I think it's coming out like mid-April, maybe, something like that. Really, really good battle, though. I mean, this Beat Fighter event was interesting. With Madden, he feels a little bit awkward, like, when he's like, talks to you, he's like, glad you can make it, mate. I've been waiting here for 3 hours. Prepare to get ripped. It's like, prepare to get ripped. I don't know, his delivery, it just feels a bit sort of,
contrived.
Slightly. And
definitely.
His whole...
I was so happy he did that as well, because it gave me the instant likability factor from the get-go, which I don't particularly have, I don't think. I come across quite angry.
No.
I think that instantly gave me the sort of, well, all right then.
I agree. I bought the PPV, and I've got to admit, yours wasn't the first battle that I watched. I think I watched Carlos Future because I love Future. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and I was a big fan.
Yeah, same, man.
I used to live. I mentioned this on previous episodes. I used to live in Manchester, and I went to quite a lot of Words of Weapon events. I'm not quite sure what's going on in Words of Weapons at the moment, but they had a great talent roster, and it's really good to see that Don't Flop are like doing events and getting them on board. So you have people like Striker, FOS battled as well, and obviously Future, who I just think is a killer. I mean, check out Future Raptor and Future Crawler. These battles are insane. Future's flow. I mean, Future tried out on Don't Flop against Take Note Tox and kind of did shit, actually. It was quite upsetting. Tox killed it as well. But no, Future was dope. But after watching Future, I watched You versus Madden. And yeah, within the first minute, I was like, I don't like this Madden guy. I was like, I don't like the prepare to get ripped. There's something about the way he delivers that line that really like riles me the wrong way. I don't know what it is. So his whole first round gets no reaction. I think it's in his second, actually, but we'll get onto that. He has this kind of way of going flibbity kind of way where it's kind of like you can almost tell the syllables creeping out there, but it's very hard to make sense out of it. Like, it's just, there's nothing there. But his first round gets no reaction. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult watching it back. It's not like You versus A, where you can just hear what you're saying because the beat's there. So normally on the beat battles, they kind of mute the crowd. I mean, how many people were there? What was the kind of vibe at the Beat Fighter event before we get into your round?
I'm not sure how many people, man. It was busy though. It was quite busy. Yeah, the vibe. To be fair, there was a big crash on the M25 that morning.
Oh,
So we got there, and I think I like literally bought a bottle of water, and then it was like, right, we're battling.
Oh.
So I usually get to an event and I have a couple of hours to sort of go over my bars
Yeah.
and digest what's going on. But this was pretty quick into it, which I think actually helped me in a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, you know, Madden says, glad you can be here, been waiting. And you jump into the top round. Absolutely, probably the best name flip ever on J Madden. Where you talk about, you called Madden, that's why you look at touchdowns. Which just tears it. I remember seeing someone, I think someone mentioned that on Viewpoint or something, someone was doing some update for it, and I saw that bar and I just thought that was fucking genius. I really, really like that bar. And what's great is the bar lands, obviously they have to do a reload or whatever, and then when you deliver it again, you know it's a success because the crowd join in. You can hear them all go, touchdowns, behind you sort of thing, you know, because people are loving it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, I've done a few battles, whatever, but like I'm just talking from personal experience. I've never written to a beat. I mean, is that when you're writing to a beat, are you kind of, you know, admitting to yourself that there has to be a certain sacrifice in the bars? Like, obviously, Madden, look, a touchdown is a bar, like a brilliant bar, but you've kind of just got to be a little bit more subservient to the rhythm, haven't you?
Definitely, man. Like, definitely. I to be fair, with me, I found it a lot easier. I think he sort of wrote his bars in the a cappella format.
Yeah,
not in the respect that he was offbeat or anything, just in the respect that he was trying to explain sort of concepts and stories and build up sort of angles, which is something that I'm still learning about, to be fair. I'm for example, like me versus Craft, sorry to go back to
No,
like,
please.
I noticed that's what he does brilliantly, you know. I was like, okay, this guy he's building up on stories and the punchline will hit you right at the end, which, you know, just gives more force to it, as opposed to me. I like to sort of just set up, punch, some hit, some don't. So when it comes to the beat on beat, I think it's a lot easier, you know. I think it just was conscious to not fill it with too many words and just to hit it, you know, how I normally sort of would. But it's definitely easier. Definitely easier to memorize as well, because you know you've got a beat there and whatnot. So
I mean, I'm sure they're going to do more beat fighter events. I mean, Don't Flop definitely should, because, you know, they're always pretty awesome, to be honest. There's been some great moments come from that. He's like any... by the way, I should have said spoilers, by the way, because I appreciate a lot of people wouldn't have seen this battle yet, but, you know, whatever. It's a great battle. Like any white racist from Blackpool, you've got one mixed race mate, and he likes to call him Blackpool, which is... and then you rhyme J Madden. How did your face survive a plane crashing? Which I just like that rhyme. I like J Madden plane crashing. It's just a nice little multi here. And then Madden kind of has a very ironic thing where he does his flibbity kind of, you know, he's kind of, I wouldn't say I like Chris Lee, so I wouldn't kind of tar him with the, you know, I wouldn't tar Chris Lee for that brush kind of thing, but that kind of flibbity bop sort of thing. And then he just finishes the bar of, you ain't even gonna seem intelligent, and it's like the irony there. He's like scolding, but you know, whatever. J Madden keeps calling you gay, and was the second round, was that a beat of yours, or?
Yeah, it was. Well, the whole thing with the beat battles is, he got to choose a beat, I got to choose a beat, and then Briggsy chose a beat for the last round. So, you know, he could have chose one of his own beats if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I didn't really see that angle either.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's one of my own beats. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And then in your third,
and weirdly, he got me. He asked me to just go first on the second as well, and then he rapped for like. He obviously done that because he wanted to rap for like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah,
Sorry, I did want to ask you about that, because it's not like you start first round and every round you start first. It's kind of, it's a bit on off. It's kind of a weird sequencing.
No, yeah, I regret that now. But,
well, I mean, you know, okay, you murdered the guy. I don't think there's any regret necessary. This is going to go down really well. You talk about in your third, I beat Crafty, I beat A2. This ain't big paper to me like A2, which is nice. I think that got a little slept on. But I mean, you know, you're quite fast. You know, the bars aren't going to land sometimes for the crowd so much, but it just, you know, there's an essence as well. I've always wondered this when you're delivering your 16s and your 32s, and like sometimes you can just kind of talk over, because J Madden seems to come in a little early on your round and then kind of called you a cunt, and then you kind of just finish your 4 bars and stuff. I mean, are you keeping count in your head, or is that just something you've been on so many ciphers, you've done so many verses, you've just, you know, those rhythms and you know inside and out?
Well, yeah, definitely with this sort of with this particular battle, I knew that he mucked up my last two bars
Yeah.
when he did interrupt me. I ended up saying something completely different than what I was supposed to say. But yeah, man, like you know when you're actually you're done and when you're not.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you've written for the battle, it's a bit frustrating. But at the same time, I like the back and forthness of the beat battles. I like that, you know, it sort of proves. I don't know. I think it separates the sort of a cappella battler from, say, you know, an actual MC.
Oh yeah.
To be fair,
Totally.
like the shuffle tees and whatnot of this world, which, you know, no hates a shuffle tee. I think he's incredible.
Yeah. No.
But, like,
Yeah.
I don't particularly think they'd fare well on a beat battle. Maybe they'd prove me completely wrong, but I just don't. Yeah, I don't think they would, and I don't think they'd particularly care about it.
Yeah,
either,
exactly.
which is,
Yeah,
you know,
it's a totally different beast, isn't it? Really. But yeah. Anyway, I think that that wraps up our little resume review, as it were. And just one of the things that I normally like to do at the end is just ask a couple of sort of some battle related, some non-battle related questions. And I appreciate with the battle related questions that you said that you were away for battling for a while. So I mean, if you don't have any answer, that's fine. But do you have a favourite URL battle, Press?
a favorite URL battle. No, I don't.
Okay.
Which is bad, isn't it? I should do.
I'll send you.
I'm trying to think.
I'll send you some good ones after this.
Actually, I'll tell you.
Right.
My favourite one. Actually, it has to be this. Is Loaded Lux's return.
Oh yeah.
With Calico.
Oh man, yeah.
I
Insane.
think that has to be my favourite one. To be fair, yeah.
Yeah. That is.
Yeah. Sorry, that come across you as a shock. I was like,
No.
As if I'd never watched the URL. But yeah, no, it definitely has to be that one. I think the performances were. I think Calico as well. I'd never heard of Calico at the time. I was shocked by both. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was just a really good showcase of that sort of URL style done really, really well.
Yeah, it's insane. Especially when you got bloody, but I think Buster Rhymes is there and shit, and like, you know, just the arenas that these URL battles are in are insane. Like, you know, I can't believe how big these theatres are. It's fucking awesome. So also, what is your favourite artist or band that aren't hip hop related?
Portishead.
Oh, nice answer, man. Yeah, that's sweet. A little bit of trip hop there. That's all good. What is your favourite King of the Dot battle?
I love Portishead.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite King of the Dot battle?
My favourite what? Sorry.
King of the Dot. Do you have a favourite King of the Dot
Favourite
battle?
King of the Dot.
Or just one you like, I suppose. You know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Because I have got favourites of all of these. It's so hard, man.
It is hard. Sorry, we put you on the spot here on Battle Rap Resume. Like,
was Ilmac and Big K on King of the Dot?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's such a good battle.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
battle.
I think that one. To be fair, man, I love that battle. I have to say that.
Yeah, that is
Immaculate. I've been a big fan of since way back since he won Scribble Jam. This was years ago, and I was thinking this guy's brilliant. And then all the way up to when he battled I remember meeting him there. And Big K, I'd never heard of Big K, and he absolutely smashed that. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, it's a
the sort of battles I gravitate towards more so.
Yeah. That's a fantastic battle. And finally, I ask every battler this. What is your favourite film?
My favourite film?
Yeah.
My favourite film, not to sound pretentious,
No.
but it will sound pretentious. It's an Italian film
Of course.
called The Consequences of Love.
Okay, interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's by a guy called, I think it's Paolo Sorrentini. He just done a new film actually called Youth, which has got
Michael Caine. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's by that guy. That was his first English-speaking film, the new one, which is okay. It's quite good, but very sort of abstract and surreal type of directing. But The Consequences of Love, unanimously is my favourite film.
Dope.
I love that movie.
Well, right, on that note, thank you so much, Press, for coming on. This has been awesome. And as ever...
Thank you, Tom.
No, my pleasure, man. And as ever, if you want to get in contact with the podcast, battlerapresume@gmail.com, or one word. We're on Twitter as well. Twitter's... I don't use it too much for the Battle Rap, but at Battle Rap Resume, if you want to... every new episode will be posted on there, and a few of little tidbits as well. And also, there's a YouTube channel, Battle Rap Resume. Check out all the little things, extra things that I'm going to put on there as well. And finally, again, if you would be so kind as to leave a little review on iTunes, that would be very, very appreciated. Just take 5 seconds out your day just to give it 5 stars and just a little review, and we could just help to expand this further, because it's been received really well, and this is our 4th episode, and I've got pretty much the next year booked of guests, and I've got some pretty big guests lined up. It's really exciting. Loads of great Don't Flop, loads of URL, loads of King of the Dart. And yeah, thank you so much everyone for listening. And yeah, thank you again, Press.
No problem.
Yeah,
thank you, bro.
All right.
Put out my chest, not deflect the sides. Let my heart speak the stress I kept inside. Checking if I got the question right. Shit didn't work out, this is exercise. Change my cheat after I got stopped twice. That's not me, that's not nice. Are we saving cheese when we got mice? Bad choices got me feeling on site. Hope you get dappered at the sleep out. And every reach that you do gets feed out. And your dealer runs out his wee pounds. And you end up bored like me now. Get beat to your flat line. I stand high with my bad mind. And you don't seem very raw, but you feeling shit, but you've been there before. No sound, no warning. With a bag of MCs, man, them morning. No sound, no warning. Keep beef on school, man, I stick forks in. No sound, no warning. Your hands are fuck off talking, what are you 10? No sound, no warning. With black tap creeping, watch where you're walking. No sound, no warning. Leave a bag of MCs, man, them morning.